let's get into the Mannings last night, because I would ask you whatever the criticism is. I think it did its job. A lot of people got talking. They need to find their voice. You don't just come out of the box with something like that and have it be great. There will be a lot of learning involved. Peyton Manning will be comfortable in front of the cameras. They're secretly funny, the both of them. They'll probably need production help. But your thoughts are what? You enjoyed the idea of it. I think that's the future of broadcasting.
I really enjoyed it. I realized there were some technical difficulties. I realized that Peyton and Eli aren't polished on TV. I get, and perhaps they need someone there guiding them a little bit, but they told some great stories, especially at the beginning. Ray Lewis was on as a guest. They told some great stories together about Ray going up against Eli in his third NFL game and what he did to him. And so I enjoyed it. Like, if my choice is that, even with the hiccups, I will take it over a mediocre broadcast team, as long as I can watch the game, because there is so much upside with that show with Peyton and Eli. And what I saw last night in its first run, it was better than what I would have watched on the main channel. And so for me, I enjoyed it because I was still watching the game and I was laughing at the producer telling them to go to break, and I could hear it from my living room, you know?
I think Eli is so likable.
Yeah.
And he's so talented. I mean, he's
Right.
good. He's very good in commercials where he plays the comedic role. He's genuinely good. And not to mention, he's one of the great quarterbacks of all time. So he's got a football credibility, and he's got a perfect personality, I think, for that.
I think I'm just going to watch it for the bad games, because I found myself really fighting the urge to switch over. I think some of this could be mitigated by giving them the same graphic package, because last night was, I mean, it was a huge battleground for fantasy football and bets alike, the way that game turned. And every time someone makes a catch, you don't have an announcer saying that's his fourth catch for 70 yards. You don't even have graphical representation. So I feel like it could be really help there. Also, knowing when we're going to break would be nice.
But I enjoyed that.
Was that on purpose or was that a mistake? Because it was reported that it was on purpose. It didn't seem to be something that was on purpose.
No, that was a mistake. At one point, he asked Travis Kelce a question. I can't remember what it was. It was something about, like, what do you watch in film days on Tuesdays? And Travis Kelce was about to answer, and he's like, I'll hold you up right there. We got to go to break. Like, that's not on purpose.
It was reported that it was on purpose, and the second it was reported, it stopped happening. The first time I thought it was a mistake, and then I actually thought, oh, this might be being done on purpose because you can't control these talents, and they have zero polish when it comes to sending people to break. So then I thought it was done on purpose, and I saw the report that confirmed that, but I guess it was an embarrassing look, and they pulled the plug on that, and then they just pulled the plug literally on segments, and Eli's microphone was a disaster.
He had to use he was holding a mic, yes.
Why are they in different places? It seemed as though they really wanted to stick to a script early on and do a lot of cool things with props, right. And they have access and relationships with coaches. They knew the plays that John Gruden was going to open that game with. They asked Greg Roman for a specific play that they could break down, but the game moves fast. Too fast to do any of that stuff. They don't have a halftime show. It seemed as though they wanted to cram everything they were planning to do early on, and I knew that show would get better when they could just sit back and watch the game. It was cool that Russell Wilson kind of hung around.
Yeah.
I think it'll get better the more comfortable that they get at it, but at the same time, I was longing to find out how many catches does Ruggs have right now. Someone please tell me.
They should put a sidebar with all the stats. I mean, they have to do something. They have to address the stats. It's a very good point. But I love, like, that first touchdown pass or second by Lamar Jackson, which was a ridiculous play where he's scrambling around, runs to his right, makes a touchdown throw. To hear Peyton and Eli break down how he did that was incredible. It was fascinating to me. And just the defense that was coming at him, and they're telling you before it happens and what Lamar should do if they do this. You have two guys who have one guy who has mastered the position, and to hear him talk about that position was fascinating to me.
I also thought they were way more honest and critical than they would be in a broadcast booth. In a broadcast booth, you kind of respect the people that you've spoken to. And I think, like, Peyton Manning was frustrated with how the Raiders played yesterday.
Yes.
And how they handled goal line situations.
Really upset him.
Like he would they would make a mistake, he'd fall back on this couch that he's sitting on. I also thought that they got honesty out of Russell Wilson. Like, Russell Wilson was, like, dropped the veneer for most of the end of that game. He was on throughout the fourth quarter and overtime, and he was criticizing the Raiders for not continuing to move forward before they kicked the field goal at the end of regulation, and then suggested that NFL games should end on penalties.
My favorite part of the Travis Kelce experience was Peyton saying, "Hey, are you watching this game? Division rival. You got the Ravens next week. Are you watching for anything in specifically?" And he's like, "Well, you know, when you got a division opponent, you play them twice. So I'm looking out for a couple things. Who do we have next week? I think it's the Chargers." Classic look ahead game on Sunday night. Chiefs Ravens.
Did you like it, Whittingham?
It had its ups and downs. I stuck with it just because I ultimately was going to get more from Peyton Manning than I would from any other announcer. Like when he's and I think the thing that was unfortunate for him is that the game moves too quickly because he wants to like break down. Here's what the quarterback was seeing coming off the weak side blitz, and the next play is already happening. And that's like the thing that people don't realize about NFL football is how fast that it happens. And the broadcasters are basically like becoming auctioneers. Like you think it's under control, but you have to make 28-second points if you're a color commentator. That's as long as you've got. And Peyton couldn't.
I am absolutely here for the Mannings and all the broadcasters to be replaced by auctioneers, by actual auctioneers. Just speed through the commentary and do everything so quickly that you just have auctioneers on one channel and the Mannings goofing around on the other channel, and I'll wipe out the entire broadcast species.
It does seem like this is a tryout for one or both of them to take over, right?
Well, they were trying to get Peyton to do Monday Night Football in a traditional sense, and he didn't want to do it that way. They were going to pay him all manner of money to do that.
It's the travel. And Mike mentioned it. Why are they in different locations? Peyton doesn't want to go anywhere.
Right.
He wants to coach his kids' flag football team on a Saturday.
Same with Eli.
Yeah, like they don't want to go anywhere.
Right.
And so like they're doing it. They built this incredible studio for them in their houses or somewhere.
That
I mean, that wall of televisions was incredible.
They can get it their way.
That
Dan.
is some kind of privilege for the white quarterbacks to get not just the broadcasting jobs, but exactly on your terms because you're the Manning family. God bless them. Like that's the way to do it. Yeah, we'll stream on ESPN Plus. We'll do it pay-per-view style, so you will make your money back from the I can't even imagine what they have to pay to get those guys who were in all the commercials and the face of the pocket passer, that family, the first family of football. They did that all their way, and they will continue to do it all their way. And he doesn't want the pressure beyond the travel. He doesn't want the pressure of having to go to production meetings, like production meetings.
He doesn't have to.
10 hours before a game.
Dan, they very clearly had a bunch of production meetings and things just didn't work out the way that they wanted, and they stuck to the script a little bit. And while it's on ESPN Plus, it's also on ESPN2. I wish it were just on ESPN Plus because the rigidities of having to go to a break really threw a wrench into everything that they were trying to do. I do kind of agree with you that I think this is where broadcasts are headed as a second screen supplemental experience, and I'll quite enjoy them, but it needs a lot of work. This is a heavy lift for a producer.
I don't need the play-by-play. I don't need the traditional broadcast. As a consumer, I don't need a voice saying, 2nd and 3, he's off tackle for 1, 3rd and 2.
I think you don't realize how much you need it until it's gone.
Amen.
I think that...
Yeah, but it was gone last night, and I enjoyed it.
No, but I missed it.
Me too.
I didn't think I would miss it.
No, you put the stats on a scroll on the bottom.
That's it.
I don't need a voice saying, that's his 3rd catch of the night. Come on.
So many people are watching that on fantasy, though. Like, you've seen what this fantasy explosion
Just give us a
is.
stat line. It will be fine.
Right.
Yeah,
A lot of people also watch these games on mute, like at bars. So, like, you don't really need that. As long as you have the graphics, you can figure out what's going on.
You're getting analysis in a way that's very comfortable. These guys are so relaxed from people like Russell Wilson and Ray Lewis and Travis Kelce. To me, that and the two of them, their dynamic is just funny. And so for me, that was the charm of it. That was the entertainment portion of it for me.
I'm with Mike. I think I'll watch it for boring games or when there's not something exciting happening. But as soon as the game got more exciting, I needed to hear the crowd noise. I wanted to hear the commentators. I like listening to Louis Riddick specifically. I think he's really smart. And you guys are basically putting Chris Whittingham out of business right now, saying that play-by-play.
Yeah, the only reason I suck through that is because while I like Louis Riddick's analysis, I'm not a fan of that Monday night team. I think this is one of the weaker teams. If it was a Monday night team that I enjoyed, I would have switched over a long time ago because there were certain aspects of people there capturing the energy there that I miss. Instead, I just got Peyton Manning complaining about how loud the crowd was during the Raiders' offensive drives.
when there were Ravens fans obviously there. Like it's too loud here.
Something he would have known.
Right.
If he were there.
It's like, well, it's not 61,000 Raiders fans. There's Ravens fans there. They travel.
When there's an interception at the goal line at the end of the game, who do you want to hear from? Louis Riddick or Russell Wilson?
Right. Peyton Manning or Brian Greasy?
I do think Russell Wilson is like a great value add to that. If they can get more guests like that on the show, I totally will tune into it. I think Charles Barkley and maybe Travis Kelce, like I hear a lot of them in other places, so I won't tune in for that. But if they can get more guests like Russell Wilson at the end of games to actually give their honest opinion and open up a little bit, it's a great value add.
I'm grateful that finally, after all of these years, some of these chances are being taken. I look forward to the day when the chances get taken in the main place. I think people are creatures of habit. They like the familiar. They don't like change. And I think that this response in here has been muted compared to what the public response was. There were people arguing about this. This is not screwing with people's cathedrals and the things that they're used to. This is how I watch the game. There are a lot of people who like the evolution and plenty who didn't. Was there anyone around here who simply rejected it? I know Ryan Cortez was getting really mad about how unpolished the whole thing was. Was there anyone around here who just simply hated it? Hated the chance being taken, didn't have any use for it, didn't want it, just wants their traditional football served up in the traditional football way?
I think the experience with Megacasts for ESPN and their college football national championship actually finds that most people turn to the traditional options even when presented with choices. I'll be curious how the ratings come back, but I do think that people are looking for the very basic information of a game. This is a very advanced conversation about football that happened. And also, if you're looking for the technicalities of the game for a well-produced broadcast, that wasn't it. But that's kind of the point, right? The point is that they're trying to figure it out. But it also, like, on top of being not your traditional broadcast, is a very high level of conversation about football that I'm not sure a lot of people, like, even know all the jargon that Peyton Manning's dropping on your head.
I love that everyone is rushing into this content breach in every way, because what you have that has changed the most, I think, with your customer over, I don't know, the last 10 years is the attention span, is the need. I need more stimuli. Just a game and commercials on television, it is not enough for me. I don't want your commercials. All of this, it's like we're rushing through our content life at 1.5 speed. Like we need all of it to bombard us at all times because we're addicted to our phones and we need more information. And so you're going to pick whatever it is your 2 or 3 habits are, whatever your second screen experience is. My guess is that a whole lot of people aren't going to be watching just the game, because isn't that day dead now where you're on your iPad the entire game? You're checking the way your fantasy numbers are changing. You're interacting with Twitter and Instagram and seeing what your favorite analysts are saying.
I watched the Jets game with the volume down, and I have the Red Zone channel with the volume up. That's just the way I do it, because the Jet game still means something to me. Like watching a full game still means something.
It's such an interesting time, though, to watch because part of the experience that's changed, and it hasn't been that long ago, that you would just sit there on Sunday and watch your one game.
Yep.
You'd watch your one game at 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And now you have the bombardment from every angle of all the games and all the touchdowns, and you grow to need it. You grow to find yourself in a place where it's moving to football, which we just described as moving too fast for the Mannings to do television, is moving too slow for you because it has commercials and it has this time off. And so you need maximum stimuli from all locations. And this is the other part of it that is more intimate and sort of connected in the disconnected age. There is great joy in feeling like you're watching this game with your friends on the internet, whether they're the broadcasters or whether they're people that exist on social media whose opinions you like, that you're not watching the game alone. You're not actually connected to those people, but you're more connected to a community while watching this stuff than you could be even at the stadium when you're surrounded by these people.
That's what it felt like to me. Like I was watching the game along with, and I was privy to be on the inside of a conversation between Peyton Manning and Eli Manning watching football together. Right. It was fascinating. Like next week, it's Aaron Rodgers, the Packers and the Lions. I want to hear those guys break down Aaron Rodgers.
Week 8, Giants-Chiefs on Monday Night Football. that's a game I would probably skip. But now I'll probably watch to see what Eli Manning has to say. And hopefully he's unguarded about it. But, he probably still has some relationships with people on the team, so maybe he won't be. But I'll tune in to see.
I love it as an alternative. And I wonder, when the Dennis Miller experiment failed 10 years ago or whatever it was, if this was around then, I think Dennis Miller as an alternative broadcast in a booth with Peyton Manning or someone might have worked, might have gone over.
No matter your criticisms of this, no matter what they are, that experiment is a rousing success, because on day one at the end of a football weekend, you're talking about something other than what was a pretty magnificent game. You're arguing about something because your broadcast experience has been changed slightly, and that's what they paid for. That's why you buy the Manning names, and that's why you give them everything they want. I'll be curious to see what the numbers are on that. But if you can... We've talked before about the reason these broadcasts don't change. The risk is zero. People are watching your game, period. People who care, it does not matter. And I wish for a long time that they took more chances. Comedians, all sorts of, do what Triller's doing. Just make it an entertainment extravaganza. Football's too conservative for that. The partners won't allow that. But just make it a giant smoking, throw Eminem in the booth, throw Snoop Dogg, do all the, whatever. Do all that stuff.
You want the Pauls calling a Monday Night Football game, Dan. I can read between the lines.
I'm fine with whatever you want to do to the sacred experience. Football will never allow it. This is as close as they come to wacky, putting the Mannings on an alternate channel with their partner. Like put them in khakis and put them on the screen, and that's as close as they will get to rebellion in their broadcast.
Let's take this all the way as extreme as we can get. Let's do a broadcast for Republicans and a broadcast for Democrats. And on the Republican broadcast, they talk about how great hits are and, oh my God, this is America, and we do like all the troop stuff. And then on the Democrat broadcast, we're like, CTE, this is really bad. We shouldn't be doing this.
This is funny. Change it like cable television has changed. One you're watching and it's just the anthem plays all four quarters.
Never stops.
They just bring in a rotation of singers.
There's a cycle, and it's occasionally replaced by God Bless the USA, right? America the Beautiful.
They tried that. ESPN tried to walk that line when they just invited Rush Limbaugh in for a while to analyze quarterbacks, and then fired him for being Rush Limbaugh.
On the Democrat version, if you are a player who's maybe like done something inappropriate, your name on your jersey, they'll just use some type of graphic. It'll just say problematic player. So you can't use their name. You just
there's like a spot
that
shadow.
Guy's problematic.
There's a problematic spot shadow.
You can't call him out by name though.
But on the Republican broadcast, you invite him into the booth. Talk about how great he is. He's a
cancel
hero.
meter.
Oh,
Figure out how close someone is to being canceled.
On the Democrat broadcast.
I don't even know.
On the Republican broadcast, they're selling you something.
The cancel's on both broadcasts.
Sponsored by My Pillow.
That's a good point.
The cancel is the one consistent thread through all of it. It's the one place that everyone agrees. Yeah, just cancel everybody.
Is blur out Colin Kaepernick on the Republican broadcast? He's just not there.
No, that's the real actual broadcast that they're showing us every week.
Fair point.